All right, Adam, the Buffs now officially a full week into camp, and they've had a couple in pads now. Carl Durrell talked to us today. What were your impressions of hearing from Coach Durrell?
Well, we got some injury updates on guys, Tommy Brown and R.J. Sneed. He's still hoping that they're going to be back later this week. A couple guys that are maybe a little forgotten just because they've been out for a while. Josh Gustaf, as an outside linebacker, played quite a bit in 2020 and 2021 before getting hurt. It sounds like he was back doing everything this summer with the team, but then just started having random swelling in there. So he's kind of out of the mix right now, but they're hoping to get him back. And then Nigel Bethel Jr., another guy that was playing really well early on. He had one of the best plays on the entire team last year, a third down pass breakup against A&M, and then suffered an ACL, and they're hoping to get him back. So at some point, you keep knocking on wood. We even saw Carl Durrell knock on wood today. I mean, you're going to have some injuries during camp, but it almost feels like it's been kind of working in reverse order in terms of getting guys back that had been out instead of the other way around. But again, every CU fan needs to find the closest wood to knock on.
Yeah, and another one of those guys who I ended up talking to was Tyus Martin, a defensive lineman that there was some high hopes for coming into last year when he was recruited, but had the back injury as a senior, and is really still kind of working his way back, but it sounds positive in the way he's coming back from that injury. He's still not fully doing team stuff, but working his way back. He told me he lost 15 pounds over the summer. He's down to 320. Looks really good, and it sounds like he's kind of working his way back. And I know you followed him a lot in recruiting and didn't get to see a senior year, obviously, but what are your thoughts on him and what he can do in this defensive line?
Yeah, it's awesome. Right shortly after he had that back surgery, he put video on social media where he's trying to walk again, like it was that type of injury where I was talking to him back then. He said, if you get this type of injury and surgery when you're older on in life, like you're just not going to be active going forward. So fortunately for him, he's got that young body that can bounce back from a surgery like that. And I was surprised, frankly, that he got on the field for a few snaps last year and then obviously didn't participate during spring ball. But I even ran into him outside of the facility last spring, and he said it was more precautionary. So great story, great kid. And so, I don't imagine he's going to be a heavy rotation guy this year, but definitely a big piece for them going down the road.
Yeah, it's hot out here, by the way.
It is. You got allergy issues. We got to battle through camp.
It's the dog days of camp.
Yeah.
But a couple of guys that we were able to talk to today. You talked to Guy Thomas. What were your impressions talking to him? I mean, without Josh Gustaf, I mean, there's still a lot of guys there, but Guy is one that was having a really good year last year and then had the foot injury. What did you hear from him, and how's he feeling right now?
When you look at why CU is predicted to finish last in the conference, it's because of some of the guys that left the program. And if this program is going to vastly exceed those expectations, it's guys like Guy Thomas that no one really knows about, that being around here at CU the last few years, you've realized this kid actually has all-conference type potential. Yeah. Terrence Lang. There's a handful of guys like that if they put it all together, people across the conference are really going to be taken notice of. And he's the guy, I mean, he was playing violently last year until he got hurt, and has a great perspective. And, a lot of guys, when they know this is their last year, they just kind of stop to smell the roses a little bit. It was fun talking with him. He already has his undergraduate, and he's on pace to get his graduate degree by the time he leaves here. So that's one of the benefit that COVID not counting against eligibility has really helped guys like Guy Thomas from an academic standpoint.
Yeah, in fact, he played. You mentioned violent. He injured the Texas A&M quarterback and changed their season in that game, and probably changed the game as far as giving CU a legitimate shot in that game. Josh Chandler-Stamito, I was going to talk to him, but it wasn't available today. But Carl mentioned him. That's another guy that along with like Guy and Terrence Lang, that has that all-conference potential that maybe people don't know about in this program. Sounds like he's really stepping up as a leader. He's everything that the Buffs kind of thought he was going to be when they recruited him.
And as a player, you really like the versatility he brings to that group, because he started out as more of an outside backer at West Virginia, played Mike linebacker last year, led the team in receiving. So when you have a Quinn Perry that you feel good about the improvement he's made, all of a sudden you have an interchangeable piece in there that you can kind of move around. Robert Barnes, similar thing. So all of a sudden, not only depth but versatility has been added by his addition.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to talk about today? We got, they got a scrimmage coming up on Saturday. It sounds like we might be able to actually get in the gates and watch a little bit of that. But anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I talked to Austin Johnson, who I wouldn't say he's quite as forgotten because was talked about in the springtime as being a guy that's battling for the starting center job. And Jarrell said today it's kind of 1A, 1B there. But just talking with him, and I'll have a story on it, just the procedures he had to go through to get back on the field, really tough path. And right before he ruptured his Achilles initially, he was a guy that I was hearing a lot of rumblings about. So he then had to, put it on hold and rehab all these injuries and got his feet wet a little bit last year. That's a guy that I think is going to be on the field a lot this year because Tommy Brown still hasn't come back right now. So Austin Johnson's playing right guard. So he can play center and right guard. I think he's going to be a big part of this offensive line this year.
Yeah, and then real quick, I talked to Brady Russell, and he mentioned that young tight end group got probably got better quicker than he thought over the summer. So that group has really progressed. So they still need to get better, but they've got to lean on that group as well. So lots of young guys and lots of people we haven't seen yet we're going to be depending on, or the Buffs are going to be depending on to watch this year. But Adam and I will be back later on this week for another video.